Amy never thought the next breath she took would carry Ty's name through the air. Yet tonight, in the storm that beats against the barn, a voice she knows better than her own cuts through the rain and turns her whole world back on. The barn smells like hay and wet wood after a long day of work. Amy stands by Spartan's stall, rubbing his neck in slow circles, while the wind rattles the loose tin on the roof. Every sound is sharp in the dark. The creak of a gate, out the shuffle of hooves. It's a low roll of thunder that feels like a heartbeat. Under the floorboards? She has been here many nights just like this, keeping busy so her mind does not drift to places that ache. Tonight is no different until it is. A flash of lightning throws white light through the cracks. For a second, the barn looks like a photograph. Amy freezes. She hears the door lift against the wind. It gives a soft groan and then closes again. The horses lift their heads. Spartan snorts once, alert but not afraid. Amy straightens her back and listens. Her hand slides from Spartan's mane to the rope at the gate. The quiet that follows makes her chest feel tight. She takes a breath and calls out. Her voice is steady because she has taught herself to be strong, but her fingers tremble against the rope. Another step lands on the packed dirt. Not heavy, not light, familiar in a way that feels impossible. Amy takes 2 steps forward, past the tack wall and the saddle stand. She sees the shape of a man near the door. He stands still, as if he is waiting for something more than permission, as if he is hoping the barn will remember him before Amy does. She cannot make out his face yet, but the set of his shoulders pulls at a memory she fights every day. Rain slides off his jacket and forms a small dark circle on the floor. The storm hums outside, takes one more step inside the light that hangs above the middle stall. Amy's breath catches. She knows that jawline. She knows that scar by the eyebrow. She knows the way his eyes search the room before they find her. It is Ty. For a heartbeat, she does not move. The barn holds its breath with her. Her mind throws up every wall she built to keep going. Logic says this cannot be true. Logic says that grief is a shape that sometimes looks like hope. But the lines on his face are real. The way he shifts his weight on his left foot is real. The small half smile that he cannot stop when he sees her is real. Her name leaves his mouth in a low voice that the storm cannot drown. Amy, it is not a question. It is not a call from a dream. It is a coming home. The sound runs through her like warm light. Her knees feel weak. She wants to step forward, and she wants to run away because joy and fear reach for her at the same time. She grips the stall door to steady herself. Spartan paws once, as if urging her on. Ty does not move closer. He looks at her with eyes that carry 1,000 unspoken miles. He says he is here. He says he is sorry. He says please. The words are simple, but the weight behind them is not. Amy swallows hard. She asks how this is possible. Her voice cracks on the last word, and that's small. Break hurts more than any wound she has known. Another flash of lightning lights his face and shows the changes time has made. He looks older, stronger in some places, worn in others. But the center of him has not changed. It is the same steady core that once held her through long nights. In long winters, he says he never stopped trying to get back. He says he had to keep her safe. Amy feels a new kind of fear rise because every answer opens a door to questions she is not ready to walk through. The rain eases as if even the sky wants to hear what comes next. Amy steps out from behind the stall gate. Her boots leave prints. In the damp dust, she stops an arm's length away and studies his face. The gap between them feels like a bridge over deep water she wants to cross. She wants him to cross. She wants to know if the person who left is the same as the person who came back. Ty lowers his eyes and lifts them again, like a man bracing for a wave. Say something true, Amy says. Ty nods and tells her the truth he knows she needs first. He speaks of their daughter. He says her name with care. He says he carried the sound of it like a flame that never went out. Amy feels heat in her chest and tears in her eyes. She does not blink them away. She lets them fall, because the only way to test this moment is to feel all of it. The barn exhales. The night shifts. Heartland waits to see What choice Amy will make Amy's eyes stay locked on Ty, but her heart refuses to believe. Her whole body shakes, not from the cold draft sweeping through the barn, but from the storm inside her chest. She whispers his name again, softer this time, as if the syllables themselves might break apart if she says them too loud. Ty answers only with a look that carries years of silence, of distance, of nights she spent alone. That look both comforts her and burns her at the same time. She takes a step back instead of forward. The sound of her boot against the dirt echoes too loudly. Ty flinches as though the small step is a wall being built between them. Amy's breath rushes out and she shakes her head. She tells him he cannot be here, that this cannot be real. Her voice has strength, but her hands betray her, trembling against the edge of the stall. She remembers standing in this very barn years ago when she was told she had to move on. She remembers teaching herself that dreams were not doors but endings. Now, with him in front of her, every lesson she forced into her heart feels like a cruel trick. Ty takes a careful step forward, but not enough to close the distance. He keeps his voice low, steady, gentle like he always did when calming a horse ready to bolt. He says he is real. He says he has come back because he could not stay away. His words fall heavy, and Amy feels the truth in them, yet the weight only deepens her fear. She asks him why. Why now? Why after so many years? Why after she rebuilt her life, piece by piece? The questions spill out like a flood she can no longer hold back. The storm outside roars, as if it wants to answer for him. Ty lifts his head and tells her that everything he did, every mile, every choice was to keep her and their daughter safe. Amy stares at him, trying to match the story to the man in front of her. His eyes are tired. His shoulders carry unseen battles. He looks like someone who has walked through fire, yet somehow still found his way home. But the scars she cannot see trouble her more than the ones she can. Amy's chest tightens. She wants to touch him, to reach out and prove he is flesh and bone, not a ghost. But she cannot move her hand. Memories rush in Ty holding Lindy when she was a baby. Ty fixing fences in the early morning sun. Ty smiling at her across the dinner table. Each memory cuts sharp, because she remembers also the pain of losing them. What if this is just another wound waiting to happen? What if this miracle turns to ash by morning? She turns away, pressing her hand against Spartan's neck for strength. The horse leans into her, steady and calm, as if sensing the weight she carries. Ty watches his face, breaking at the sight of her retreat. He whispers that he knows he does not deserve forgiveness, but he will spend the rest of his life proving he belongs here again. Amy closes her eyes. The barn hums with silence between each crack of thunder. She knows this moment will change everything, but she does not yet know if it is the beginning of healing or the opening of another wound. Her eyes finally meet his again. In them she sees both the man she loved and the stranger he has become. And in that fragile space, between memory and reality, Amy realizes that love is not enough to erase the years apart. Trust must be rebuilt, and it will not come easily. The barn waits with her, every shadow, every breath holding on to the next word that will either bind them together again or break them, part forever. The storm outside softens to a steady rain, but inside the barn, the storm between Amy and Ty only grows. For a long time, neither of them speaks. The silence feels louder than thunder. Amy finally breaks it, her voice sharp but trembling, asking if he has any idea what it cost her to live without him. Ty lowers his head, the words heavy on his tongue before he even says them. He tells her that he knows, that he thought of her every day, every night, that the only thing that kept him alive was the thought of coming back. But Amy cannot accept that answer so easily. She turns her face away, not because she doesn't want to see him, but because she is afraid of believing him. She remembers the long nights when Lindy would cry herself to sleep asking where her father was. She remembers telling her daughter stories to fill the empty space where Ty's voice should have been. Every bedtime tale, every quiet reassurance, was a brick in the wall she had to build to keep her family standing. Now Ty's presence feels like both the hammer to break it down and the storm that might crush her when it falls. Ty steps closer, his boots sinking softly into the dirt floor, each step careful, each step almost asking permission. He says he was taken away from her, not by choice, but by something bigger than them both. He doesn't explain fully yet, and Amy notices the way his voice falters, the way his eyes flick toward the door like shadows from his past still follow him. That hesitation makes her chest tighten. She wants to know everything. But at the same time, she is terrified of what the truth will mean. Amy feels the weight of years pressing down on her. She clenches her fists, fighting back the tears that want to fall. She tells him that, while he was gone, she had to carry not just her own pain, but Lindy's too. And she does not know if she can let him back into their lives without breaking apart again. Her voice cracks at her daughter. The barn doors rattle as the wind pushes against them, and Amy jumps at the sound. Her body is raw with nerves, stretched thin between disbelief and longing. Ty notices, and for the first time in years, his instinct to protect her surfaces. He takes one more step closer, his voice softer now, telling her that he came back not only because he missed her, but because there are dangers. Still out there, dangers that could reach her if he stayed away any longer? That single hint leaves Amy's breath caught in her throat. Suddenly his return feels less like a gift and more like the start of something darker. She steadies herself against Spartan's stall again. The horse flicks his ears forward, alert to the tension. Amy whispers that she doesn't know if she can believe him, and yet her eyes betray her words. They search his face, drinking in every detail, afraid to lose him again. Ty raises a hand, slightly, not touching her, just holding it there in the space between them, offering without forcing. The gesture is simple, but it carries the weight of years apart. The weight of promises broken and maybe rebuilt. For the first time, Amy feels her defenses falter. A single tear rolls down her cheek, and she lets it fall without shame. Ty's voice softens into something almost like prayer. He says he came home not to haunt her, but to stand beside her again. Promises there is more she needs to know, more he has to reveal, but he cannot tell it all in one night. The air between them hangs heavy with unspoken truths, the kind that can either bind to hearts or tear them apart. Amy exhales slowly, caught between fear and hope, her soul knowing that this moment is not an ending at all, but the dangerous beginning of something that will change everything. Amy doesn't move when Ty's hand hovers in the space between them. The inches feel like miles, and she wonders if closing that gap would heal her or shatter her for good. Her chest rises and falls too quickly, like her body is bracing for a fall. Finally, her voice cuts the silence, low but sharp. She tells him she buried him once. She tells him she stood at a grave, held her daughter, and swore she would never let herself hope again. Her words tremble with fury and grief, a fire that has been waiting for this moment to be lit. Ty's eyes close for a second, as though every word is a blow he deserves. When he opens them again, they glisten with a pain that no storm could ever wash away. He says he knows what she went through, says he wished 100 times that he could reach her, that he could tell her the truth, but something held him back, something stronger than his own will. He doesn't name it yet, but Amy sees the shadow of it in his face, a secret that still hides between the cracks. Her fists clench at her sides. She steps back just enough to remind him that distance is still there, that forgiveness is not free. Her voice rises, sharper now, asking him if he has any idea what his absence did to Lindy. She tells him their daughter grew up looking at the door, hoping he would walk through, only to be let down again and again. Amy's voice breaks, but she doesn't stop. The barn walls seem to echo her pain, each syllable carrying the weight of a broken promise. Ty takes her words like a man who has no shield left. He doesn't argue. He doesn't defend himself. Says he deserves every bit of her anger, but he swears he did it all to protect them. His voice is steady but low, heavy with guilt. He steps forward again, the distance shrinking, though the emotional canyon between them remains wide. He tells her he never stopped being her partner. Even if the world made it look like he was gone, Amy turns away, tears streaking her face though. Her voice grows steadier. She says love isn't enough anymore. Love won't fix the years he missed, the birthdays he wasn't there for. Saturday nights she cried into her pillow so Lindy wouldn't hear. Her words are soft now, not because they're weak, but because they are too sharp to shout. She says she doesn't know if she can ever let herself trust him again. The rain on the roof slows, each drop landing like a clock ticking down to a choice she doesn't want to make. Ty stands behind her, his voice breaking as he says he's not asking her to trust him tonight. He's only asking her to let him prove himself tomorrow. He says he will earn every look, every word, every piece of ground he lost. He says he came back, not just for her, but for their family, that he won't leave again unless it's in the ground for real. Amy's shoulders stiffen at his words. She hears the conviction, the promise, and it frightens her more than his silence ever could. Because if he is telling the truth, then her heart might have to open again, and that is the most dangerous risk of all. She turns her head slightly, just enough to see him in her periphery. The air between them hums with something raw, a fire that could either warm them or burn them both. For the first time since he walked in, Amy doesn't push him away with her words. She doesn't forgive him either. Instead, she stands still, caught in the space between love and anger, knowing that whichever way she chooses to step will change the rest of her life. The barn is quiet now, holding its breath with them, waiting to see which flame will consume them first, love, or the fire of old wounds that refuse to die. The barn is too quiet. Amy and Ty stand locked in a silence that is more dangerous than shouting. But Heartland has never been a place where secrets stay hidden for long. A floorboard creaks near the doorway, soft but sharp enough to cut through the storm between them. Amy spins, wiping at her face, her body tense as if caught in something she never meant anyone else to see. Ty follows her gaze and his heart nearly stops. Jack Bartlett is standing in the shadows, hat pulled low, arms crossed tight across his chest. His eyes, sharp as a hawk's, have already seen enough. For a moment, Jack doesn't speak. The silence feels heavier than the thunder. Earlier, then his voice, rough and steady, cuts through the air. He asks Amy if she's seeing ghosts now. His tone is dry, but his eyes betray the storm inside him. He steps forward into the light, and the look he gives Ty is not one of welcome, but of disbelief mixed with the kind of anger only a man who has buried family knows. Amy opens her mouth to explain, but no words come. She looks like a child again, caught between the two men who shaped her life in different ways. Ty swallows hard. His voice breaks as he calls Jack's name, takes a half step forward, but Jack's glare stops him like a stone wall. Jack says this can't be real, that he put flowers on Ty's grave with his own hands, that he held Amy together when Ty was gone, that he watched Lindy grow up without her father. His words are not questions, they are accusations, each one striking like a hammer. Ty lowers his eyes, his voice soft as he says he never wanted any of them to go through that. But he had no choice. Amy's hand flies to her mouth as Jack's words grow harsher. Jack tells Ty that showing up like this, without warning, without explanation, is nothing but cruelty. His voice cracks on the word cruelty, though, and the pain beneath his anger is plain. Jack Bartlett is not a man who cries easily, but the tremor in his voice tells Amy he is closer to breaking than he wants anyone to know. The barn feels smaller now, as if the walls themselves are closing in. Spartan paws at the floor, restless, picking up on the tension. Amy pleads with her grandfather to stop, to give Ty a chance to explain. Her voice is urgent, desperate, not for Ty alone, but for her family, for the fragile balance that could snap. In an instant, Jack turns to her, his eyes softening for just a heartbeat. But then they harden again as he faces Ty. He tells him that second chances don't come easy in this house, and they sure as hell don't come without truth. Ty straightens. Shoulders squared, though his eyes glisten. He says he'll give the truth, piece by piece, if that's what it takes. He says he didn't come here to hide anymore. He came to fight for his family, even if the family doesn't want him yet. His words carry a quiet strength that even Jack cannot ignore. For the first time, Jack doesn't answer right away. His silence is permission and punishment all at once. Amy feels the world tilt. This isn't just her storm anymore. Her family is caught in it now, pulled into the same questions, the same pain, the same fragile hope. She realizes Ty's return isn't only about her heart. It is about the very foundation of Heartland itself. A place built on trust, on loyalty, on never walking away. Here stands the man who broke all of that by disappearing. Outside, the rain finally stops. The air in the barn is thick with the smell of wet earth. Jack turns slowly and walks toward the open door, his boots dragging heavier than usual. He pauses at the threshold, his back still to them, and says one final thing: tomorrow morning. Ty better be ready to tell the whole truth, because ghosts don't live here long. Then he steps out into the night, leaving Amy and Ty standing in the heavy silence he left behind. Amy exhales shakily, her eyes darting back to Ty. She knows Jack is right. Tomorrow will come fast, and the truth Ty carries could either heal them all or tear Heartland apart for good. The barn settles into silence after Jack's footsteps fade. Amy leans against Spartan's stall, her chest still heaving, her mind trying to hold together everything that just happened. Vi watches her but doesn't dare step closer. The air between them is too fragile, stretched thin like glass. For the first time since he walked back into Heartland, Amy sees fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing her, but fear of something else pressing in from beyond these walls. That fear finds shape when the sound of tires crunching gravel cuts through. The night, headlights sweep across the yard, flooding through the barn's open cracks and harsh beams. Amy stiffens, her instincts screaming. Visitors don't come at this hour. Not here. Not in the quiet heart of the ranch. Ty's jaw tightens, his shoulders stiff. He whispers a single word under his breath, too soft for Amy to catch, but it chills her all the same. The barn door groans as it pushes open again. A gust of cold air sweeps in, carrying the smell of rain-soaked dust. A man steps into the threshold, tall and broad, his coat dripping from the storm, his eyes scanning the barn with practiced sharpness. He doesn't look like he belongs to this land. His posture is military, his gaze too hard, his silence too heavy. He studies Amy for only a second before his eyes lock on Ty. The tension is instant. Like two storms colliding, Amy's heart races. She can feel it in her throat. She demands to know who this stranger is, her voice sharp, protective, almost fierce. Ty doesn't answer right away. Silence tells her more than words could. The man steps forward, boots sinking into the dirt, his voice deep and flat as he says Ty's name like a warning. Amy catches the way Ty flinches, and it terrifies her. Ty, who has always stood strong no matter the fight, looks cornered in his own barn. The stranger says Ty was supposed to stay gone. His words hang heavy in the air, every syllable dripping with a past Amy doesn't yet understand. He glances at her then, his tone colder, asking if she knows the kind of danger standing in front of her. Amy steps back instinctively, her hands gripping the stall rail as if it could shield her. Ty finally speaks, his voice firm, commanding. He tells the man to leave Heartland, to keep Amy out of whatever shadow still follows them. But the stranger only smiles faintly, a smile without warmth. He says trouble has a way of catching up, no matter how many miles you put between it and home. He tells Ty that unfinished business never stays buried, just like ghosts don't stay dead. His eyes cut toward Amy again, and something in his look makes her skin crawl. Spartan tosses his head, stamping the ground, sensing the danger pulsing through the barn. Amy demands answers now. Her voice cracks, her fears spilling out in anger. She tells Ty that if he has brought danger to her door, to Lindy's door, then he owes her the truth this second. Ty's hands clench at his sides, torn between protecting her and confessing what he swore he'd carry alone. His silence, his hesitation, burns worse than any storm. The stranger, watching all of it, finally says he'll be back at first light. And if Ty isn't ready to face what's coming, then the whole ranch will feel the cost. He turns on his heel, boots echoing through the barn as he walks out. The sound of the truck starting, the headlights sweeping away into the dark leaves. Behind a silence heavier than before, Amy stares at Ty, her eyes wide, her breath sharp. She realizes now that Ty's return wasn't just a miracle, it was a warning. Her voice is barely more than a whisper as she asks him one question, the only one that matters. What have you brought? Back with you? The barn feels colder now, though the storm outside has passed. Shadows stretch across the walls, and every one of them seems to hold the weight of the stranger's words. Amy stands frozen, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, as if holding her own heart in place. Ty doesn't move. His chest rises and falls heavy, like a man carrying chains no one else can see. The silence between them has changed, is no longer just about lost years, but about a danger that now breathes inside Heartland. Amy finally steps forward, her boots crunching against the dirt floor. Her eyes lock onto Ty's, demanding answers without mercy. She asks him again, her voice stronger this time, what he has brought to her door. Ty tries to speak, but the words catch in his throat. He whispers that he thought he had buried it. All that coming home was supposed to keep Amy safe, not place her in the crosshairs of his unfinished past. The honesty in his voice cuts through her, but it doesn't calm her. Instead, it twists deeper, because she knows truth and danger now walk hand in hand. She remembers Lindy asleep inside the house, wrapped in blankets, dreaming without knowing that storms bigger than thunder wait outside. Amy's chest tightens at the thought of her daughter's innocence tangled in something she does not understand. She turns to Ty, her voice trembling but fierce, and tells him that if his past is here to claim him, he must face it without dragging his family down into it. Her words slice like steel, but beneath them lies fear, so raw it threatens to undo her. Ty nods once, slow, his jaw set. He says he will not let anything touch Amy or Lindy, not again, not ever. But his eyes reveal a truth. He cannot hide, he may not have the power to keep that promise. Amy sees it, feels it, and it terrifies her more than the stranger's threat. For a moment she almost reaches for him, almost lets her hand bridge the distance, but she stops. Her heart wants to believe, but her mind knows better than to trust. Too quickly, outside, the wind stills, leaving the night unnervingly quiet. The barn lantern flickers, casting Ty's shadow long across the dirt. Amy realizes they are standing at the edge of something larger than either of them, something that could break their family apart or bind them tighter than ever before. Her voice softens into a whisper as she tells him she doesn't know if she can walk this path again. Ty's reply is simple, almost desperate. He says she won't have to walk it alone. A sudden knock echoes from the house, sharp and urgent, cutting through the night like a warning bell. Amy and Ty both freeze, their eyes darting toward the sound. Whoever stands at that door has not come for peace. The silence that follows is thick, suffocating, full of questions that neither of them is ready to answer. Amy's breath hitches. Her heart pounds. Ty looks at her, his eyes carrying both apology and promise. The lantern flickers again, and the screen door on the house creaks open. A moment stretches into forever, a fragile line between reunion and ruin. Amy knows everything is about to change, but she doesn't know if the man standing before her is the miracle she prayed for, the storm she should fear most. The screen door slams, and the story of Heartland tilts into a new chapter.